There are conversations happening in NBA circles right now that would completely change the whole look of professional basketball. Talks involving many superstars that go beyond normal trade talk into something much more real and possible. I'm talking about direct player involvement, about team cornerstones personally reaching out to check out possibilities, about championship windows being made the most of in ways we haven't seen done at this level in years. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report. I'm your host, and if you're watching this channel, you know this is exactly where you need to be for the latest news and the deepest insider talk about our favorite Los Angeles Lakers before anyone else connects these dots. Today, I need to walk you through something that's been growing over the past several months, something that involves the current state of our 17-6 Lakers team, something that connects directly to the most powerful power forward in basketball right now, and something that could change this team from championship contenders into very heavy favorites to win it all in June. Stay tuned, because what I'm about to share changes everything you thought you knew about the Lakers' championship plan this season. Let me start by showing where the Los Angeles Lakers stand right now, because understanding our current position is very important before we discuss possible list changes. Following Sunday night's exciting 112-108 win over the Philadelphia 76ers, the Lakers officially took the number 2 spot in the Western Conference standings. That's not just a nice moment or a short rise. That's a statement about who this team has become under the current build. We've won 9 of our last 11 games, and when you watch these wins, you're not seeing a team getting lucky or barely winning close games against worse teams. You're watching a truly great basketball team that has found its identity, that understands its strengths, and that's doing well at a championship level on both ends of the floor. The base of this success is our strong big three that other teams simply cannot match up against well. Austin Reeves has grown into one of the most complete two-way guards in the whole league, averaging the best numbers of his career, while giving us big shots when needed and defensive flexibility that lets us switch everything on the outside. Luka Doncic, who we got back in February in what's already looking like one of the smartest trades in recent team history, has fit into our system smoothly and is putting up best player level numbers while making everyone around him better with his great playmaking and basketball smarts. And of course, LeBron James at 41 years old continues to beat every expectation and usual thinking about getting older, still able to take over games in important moments while playing winning basketball on both ends of the floor. That trio alone would make us real contenders in any season. But here's the truth that every serious championship team must face at some point during the season. Being good isn't enough. Being very good still leaves you open to teams that are built to use your weak points. And even having 3 great players doesn't guarantee you'll survive a 7-game series against the absolute best teams in the league when matchups and depth become deciding reasons. The Lakers organization, to their great credit, understands this basic truth. They know that we're one huge move away from lifting our championship chances to a level we haven't reached since the bubble championship season. They know that chances to add amazing talent don't come around often, and when they do show up, you have to be aggressive and make quick decisions in going after them. And most importantly, they know exactly which player would give us that final piece we need to become almost impossible to beat. Now, I need you to think about what makes a championship team really special. What separates the teams that win titles from the teams that fall just short even though they have great talent and regular season success. It's not just about having star power, though that's obviously important. It's about having many players who can dominate games in different ways, who can take over when the main choice is being focused on defensively, who can give matchup advantages that force opponents into impossible defensive choices. It's about having flexibility, about being able to play many styles depending on what the opponent is showing you, about having the people to change in the middle of a series when coaches make their counter moves. And it's about having that championship experience, that knowledge of performing under the brightest lights when the pressure is absolutely crushing, and every possession feels like it decides your whole season. The Milwaukee Bucks currently have a player who shows all of those championship qualities, a two-time MVP and NBA champion who's widely seen as one of the 5 best players in the world. Someone whose special mix of size, athletic skill, and energy makes him almost impossible to plan against well. Giannis Antetokounmpo stands 6 feet 11 inches tall, moves like a guard in fast play, finishes at the basket with a fierceness that breaks defenders' spirits, protects the basket defensively with great timing and length, and has developed enough of a mid-range game that you can't just crowd the paint against him anymore. At 30 years old, he's in the absolute best years of his career. Still young enough to be athletic and explosive, but experienced enough to understand every small detail of playoff basketball and what it takes to win when the stakes are highest. And here's where this whole situation becomes really interesting from a Lakers point of view, because the pieces are starting to line up in ways that make a possible huge trade not just possible, but more and more likely as we move through this season. According to trusted reports from well-placed sources in Chicago media, who have direct connections to the Bucks organization, Giannis asked for a trade several months ago because he wants to win, and he's not convinced Milwaukee's current path gives him the best chance to add more championships to his record. That first trade request had the New York Knicks as his favorite place to go, but those talks never got serious because New York wasn't willing to give up more than Karl Anthony Towns in any possible deal. And Milwaukee obviously wasn't going to trade a player of Giannis's level for a single piece that doesn't move them forward significantly towards staying competitive. But here's where it gets really interesting for Lakers fans. And here's where you need to pay very close attention, because this is the part that directly affects our championship hopes this season. Multiple sources have confirmed that the Los Angeles Lakers organization made official questions about Giannis Antetokounmpo's availability, checking what it would take to build a deal that works for both teams. That alone would be big news, showing that our leaders are being active about finding possible upgrades even while we're playing well. But the truly amazing part, the detail that should have every Lakers fan's heart beating fast, is that Luka Doncic himself personally reached out and made his own questions about whether the Lakers could work out a deal with Milwaukee to bring Giannis to Los Angeles. Think about what that means for a minute. We're not talking about general trade checking or the usual background talks that happen between teams throughout every season. We're talking about a team's superstar personally putting himself into recruitment efforts, using his own connections and influence to try to make a trade that would make his team much better. That level of direct player involvement tells you everything you need to know about how serious this possibility is, about how motivated Luka is to make the most of this championship window, and about how real a Giannis to Lakers situation has become. When your star player is that involved in making something happen, when he's willing to put himself out there and actively get another superstar, that's when team leaders start finding creative ways to build deals that first seemed impossible. Now, let's talk about the practical mechanics of how a trade like this would actually work. Because I know some of you are thinking this sounds great in theory, but wondering whether we have the pieces to make Milwaukee seriously think about moving their team cornerstone. The truth is that the Lakers do have one particular piece that would be very attractive to the Bucks as they think about their future after a trade. And that piece is Austin Reaves. I know hearing that name right away causes mixed feelings for Lakers fans, because we've all watched Reaves grow into an absolute star over the past few seasons. He's homegrown talent that we found and developed. He shows the kind of two-way flexibility that championship teams need. And he's become a real third star who can carry us on offense when LeBron and Luka need rest or are having bad nights. But here's the cold, hard truth about championship list building that separates good teams from great ones. When you have a chance to get a once-in-a-generation talent like Giannis Antetokounmpo, someone who's already shown he can be the best player on an NBA championship team, you make that move even if it means giving up a very good young player with all-star potential. Reaves is fantastic and has a bright future. But Giannis is a two-time MVP who's in his absolute best years and would give the Lakers something we haven't had since prime Shaquille O'Neal. A truly great big man who can't be stopped one-on-one and needs entire defensive plans to be built around containing him. That's not putting down Reaves. That's just seeing the order of talent in the NBA and making the hard but right decision when given a chance to get a generation-level player. From Milwaukee's point of view, Reaves makes a lot of sense as the main part of a return deal. He's only 26 years old. He's on a contract that's good for the team. He can be a main ball handler and starter of offense, which Milwaukee really needs, and he gives exactly the kind of outside shot creation and playmaking that would help them stay competitive in the Eastern Conference, even after trading Giannis. You could build a deal around Reaves that includes more young players, future draft picks, and maybe one of our older players to make the salaries match. And Milwaukee would have a base to rebuild around while staying good enough to keep fans interested. That's not a complete restart. That's a smart turn that keeps you important while getting pieces to build the next competitive list. Let me address what I know some of you are thinking right now, because I can already guess the worries and questions running through your minds as you think about this possibility. You're wondering whether giving up Reaves plus more pieces would leave us too thin depth-wise to actually win a championship, even with Giannis. You're questioning whether three ball-dominant stars in LeBron, Luka, and Giannis can exist together well, or whether there simply aren't enough ball possessions to keep everyone involved and happy. You're worried about what a starting five of Giannis, LeBron, and Luka plus two role players looks like defensively when the playoffs get more intense and every possession needs maximum effort. These are all real worries that deserve serious thought as we look at whether this trade makes sense for our championship chances. But let me walk you through why I'm very hopeful about how this would work and why I believe adding Giannis would make the Lakers almost impossible to beat in playoff basketball. First, the fit is actually much better than you might first think, because these three superstars add to each other in ways that make the most of everyone's strengths while reducing overlapping skills. Luka Doncic is mainly an initiator and playmaker who works best with the ball in his hands, running pick and rolls or running offense from the outside. Giannis Antetokounmpo does great as a roller, as a cutter. as someone who attacks when defenders run at him and finishes in fast play, and as a help-side basket protector who guards the paint defensively. LeBron James, at this stage of his career, is perfectly fine playing off the ball as a spot-up shooter, secondary playmaker, and smart cutter who reads defensive moves better than anyone in basketball history. Picture this group playing in a playoff game against a team like Denver or Boston. Luka has the ball at the top of the key, running a pick and roll with Giannis as the screener. The defense has to show hard on Luka because he's one of the most dangerous pick and roll scorers in NBA history. That leaves Giannis rolling to the basket with a full head of speed. And we all know what happens when Giannis gets downhill with speed. If they don't show on Luka, he's pulling up for three or getting all the way to the basket himself. Meanwhile, LeBron is spaced in the corner, ready to shoot if his man helps, or cutting backdoor if the defense loses track of him for even a second. And we haven't even talked about the second side action and weak side movement that modern NBA offenses create. That's not three players getting in each other's way. That's three generation-level talents creating impossible defensive math for opponents. Defensively, a front-court combination of Giannis and LeBron, with Luka working as the main outside initiator, gives you amazing flexibility in terms of what coverages you can run. Giannis is one of the three best help-side defenders in the NBA, able to protect the basket while also having the foot speed to switch onto smaller players when needed. LeBron, even at 41, stays a great team defender who understands the game at the highest level and makes all the right moves and help choices. That lets you be aggressive on the outside, knowing you have great basket protection behind you. And it gives you the size and length to switch almost everything in playoff situations when teams try to find weak spots in pick and rolls. The defensive flexibility alone would be worth the price of admission. Now, I need to address the bigger picture of what the Lakers have done since getting Luka Doncic back in February, because understanding their promise to build around him is important to guessing whether they'd actually make a Giannis trade happen. The Lakers haven't just brought Luka in and hoped he'd figure it out with whatever list was already here. They've been active and aggressive about surrounding him with pieces that add to his needs on both ends of the floor. They signed Marcus Smart in free agency, bringing in a great outside defender and secondary playmaker who can handle the ball and guard the opponent's best guard every night. They added DeAndre Ayton, giving them a real rim-running big man who can finish alley-oops and protect the paint while Luka runs things from the outside. Those moves show a clear team thinking that should inform how we think about a possible Giannis trade. The Lakers are committed to making the most of Luka Doncic's championship window by any means needed, and they're not going to let feelings or attachment to current players stop them from upgrading the list when great talent becomes available. If the front office believes that trading Austin Reeves for Giannis Antetokounmpo makes them much better positioned to win championships over the next 3 to 4 years, they're going to make that trade without waiting. That's not being cold or disloyal to Reeves. That's being smart and strategic about list building when you have a team superstar in his best years and a limited window to win titles. The timing of this possible move is also key to understanding why it might actually happen this season, rather than being something that gets talked about forever but never becomes real. Giannis is 30 years old, still in his absolute best years, but with the clock starting to tick on how many more great seasons he has left. LeBron James is 41. And while he's beating aging in amazing ways, we all understand that he's not going to play at this level forever. Luka Doncic is 26, right in the sweet spot where he's young enough to be your cornerstone for years, but old enough to be winning championships right now. I'm hopeful and truly excited because this shows the Lakers at their absolute best. Being aggressive, making bold moves, and making the most of our championship window with team cornerstones who want to win at the highest level. If you want the absolute latest Lakers news and the deepest talk before anyone else, you need to subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report right now. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking update, and share this video with other Lakers fans who need to understand what's really happening with this team. This is your home for everything Lakers, and I want you part of this group as we go after banner number 18 together. Press that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you never miss a video, and share this with others.